Hey, Daniel here. Um, Thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate your time and just this moment we get to share together. I've been posting like a lot less videos or a lot less frequently because, as I stated in my previous video, just a lot of things have been going on in my life, a lot of amazing, awesome things, a lot of new things. And so the rhythm of my life has been dramatically changed, and I'm really thankful for everything that's happening. When I do get a little bit of downtime, I do want to continue to bring this video. And so today's video is going to be a little bit different because, as you know, a lot of the content that I make is about knives. And I'm a big knife enthusiast, or a knife nut, as we are called in the knife community. But I'm also a knife enthusiast that I really appreciate and enjoy watches. And so I have everything from Seiko to G-Shock to I've had Zen. Currently I have an Omega Speedmaster, and actually just got another watch in. This is my personal watch. It's not loaned to me. I actually bought this watch, and it's been a long time coming, and so we'll go ahead and flip the camera over, and I'm gonna be talking about this stunning guy, the Tudor Black Bay 58 Blue. All right, stay tuned. All right, so here is the box. I've already opened it. I've been wearing it throughout the day. Today's my first day actually wearing it, but I just kind of want to go through the whole I guess the unboxing and the initial impressions. So disclaimer, I'm not super steeped in the watch industry. I know there's other great channels, other great people who are creating amazing content, and they're way more well versed in the watch industry and horology than I am. I'm just like a casual kind of everyday gear watch knife enthusiast. So I'm coming from that perspective. So anyways, I went to just a little backstory here. I know this is the Tudor Black Bay 58 in the blue. So it comes in this box like this. I got this at my local authorized dealer, and I love this whole this front flap design because it helps you to access the actual box a lot easier. And so this is the actual box. As you open it up, it's has this felt kind of material. The box itself is made out of, looks like kind of like a paper, or maybe it's actually wood. It's like a wood composite type of texture. But here is the watch. Comes in this cushion pillow, and then you have like all the booklet, warranty, and then you have this little cool little compartment where you can store your other, I don't know, your watch adjustment tools. I have here right now the additional bracelet links, so I'm just gonna keep that in here. Yeah, so it's like a pretty well made box, nothing fancy, nothing out of the ordinary. But let me just put this away because the video is not about boxes, right? It's gonna be about this guy right here. So with that being said, just a little backstory. I know this watch came out, I believe, early 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Before this came out, Tudor had their Black Bay family, and I've actually tried them on, and I love the design aesthetic of it, but I just didn't like how it wore on my wrist. The original Black Bay line, the diameter I believe is 41 millimeters, and the case height is I don't know if it's 12 or 13 millimeters. So for my smallish wrist, it sat pretty tall and big on my wrist, and it just didn't feel natural or comfortable on my wrist. So I just passed it, even though I really liked the design aesthetic. So when Tudor announced this guy, in the 39 millimeter case size, and I believe this is a 11 or 12 millimeter case height, I was smitten, because I feel like, oh, that's like a perfect, dimension for my wrist. And so lo and behold, my local AD reached out to me. They said, "Hey, we have one in stock. Are you interested?" So I went down and tried it on. This was like maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe even longer than that. I tried it on, and I loved how it wore on my wrist. I loved everything about it. I loved the this just really muted blue. Just yeah, I loved everything about it. And for some reason I hesitated and I walked out of that store without the watch. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait. You know, yeah, it's just I don't know why, and I think well, maybe I do know. One of the reasons why I think is because I'm a big date function type of a guy. So I like watches that have like that date function on it. So for example, the Seiko SKX 007 that I have has like the day and the date. And so, to me it's a very handy function to have because, if whenever I need to know the date or my wife asks me, I could just look at my wrist and find out exactly what date it is, instead of having to pull out my phone. But the thing about watches, like for this one, it doesn't have a date. And so what I find myself doing is I'd have to take out my phone or look on the computer to find what the date is. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I passed on this watch, even though I loved everything else about it. So anyways, after I left that AD a few weeks ago, it was still on my mind, for several weeks. And I was like, oh man, I really did like that watch. And so I reached back out to them, and unfortunately it was already sold. And as you guys know, this is probably one of the most popular, just anticipated watches from Tudor. So it doesn't really last a long time in store, once they get it. And so, they said, hey, you know what, it's already been sold. So we don't know when we're going to get another one in. A couple days ago, they reached back out to me saying, hey, we got a brand new one in like yesterday morning. Are you interested? And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to pull the trigger. And so what I did is I went down today, and thankfully they still had it in store because they couldn't, reserve it or hold it for me, right? And totally understandable. And then so, I went down there and I was able to pick this guy up, and I'm really glad that I did. This is really my first impressions. I've literally only worn it for maybe 1 or 2 hours tops. And so I'm literally going to give you my unscripted kind of just off the cuff first impressions, and then and then go from there. So first things first, I love the feel, the action of the clasp. As you can see, this is like a double kind of a clasp action. And so this has the ceramic ball as a detent. So you got one right here, and then you got another one in there. So it feels very positive. There's a very positive click for both clasp as you open and close it. It feels very pleasant, very secure. Yeah, it's not like a nail breaker, but it does feel very secure and positive when I engage and disengage it. Immediately you see that Tudor Geneve, that engraving on there. It's really nice. Yeah, just overall the build of this watch is very just solid, very well made. Granted, I've never handled like thousands of dollars worth of watches, but when I go to my local like watch store, I've handled like Rolexes and other kind of high-end watches, and I feel like this is in that same vein where it's just really well made, really robust. I don't see any noticeable like flaws or dings or issues so far. So yeah, the bracelet is just made very nicely. It's brushed, it's very solid. Just first impression when I put it on, it feels very comfortable on my wrist. I love how it kind of tapers down to the bottom of the wrist, so it doesn't restrict my wrist movement in any direction. It stays out of the way. It doesn't feel like I have like a clunky like timepiece on my wrist. And so another thing that I really enjoy about this design is I love how this bracelet just drapes down, and the great thing about that is when it sits on my wrist, it just really drapes around my wrist. It just really hugs my wrist. So it feels very just comfortable, just very just secure. Like I just feel like it's really hugging my wrist without hindering the movement of my wrist, which is very nice. I love how it just sits very flush on my wrist. It's just really out of the way. And it's I definitely could see myself wearing like sweaters or long sleeve shirts, and it's not gonna really get in the way of that. So moving on, I'm gonna yeah. As you can see, I have a smaller size wrist, and as you can see, this 39 millimeter is just really perfect. I feel like this watch just is it was really built for my type of wrist. I don't have like the thickest wrists, and so if it sits very flush, it's not overbearing on the wrist, and that's what I was really looking for. I'm not a type of a watch person that likes a watch that screams or brings attention to itself, and I feel like this is really sits really well in that kind of that space. With that being said, look at that blue. Let me take this off my wrist real quick just to bring that in. I love the blue that Tudor went with. It's not like a vibrant blue. It's not like it's a very muted, subtle blue. It doesn't bring attention to itself, but when I look at it, it's stunning to look at. I feel like they really chose like an understated blue that really works well with the overall design aesthetic and color scheme of this watch. I feel like this coloration of the blue, it fits really well with this steel, the brush steel, as well as that really beautiful that white dial markers, and it just fits everything. I feel like fits really well into each other, and so I mean, a big thumbs up for that. It's a really beautiful watch to look at. Another thing that I really like about this watch, just from the jump, is that I love the symmetrical design of the dial. It just really draws the eye to the dial of the watch. It really causes you to just linger a little bit longer, just to appreciate just the beautiful symmetry of the dial. One thing I do also want to point out is that I know some people love the snowflake hand, some people hate it. I personally love it because I feel like I mentioned, because the dial is so symmetrical, I feel like that snowflake hand just really gives this watch some character, some flair, and it still maintains kind of like that subdued look, but still kind of gives that a little bit of an eye-catching quality to this watch. And so really love the snowflake hands. What else can I say? Turning to the side, as you can see, the sides of the case has been polished, like a mirror polished. And so you're gonna see, like, as you can see, my finger, the oil from my finger smudging all over that, and that's totally fine. I don't really mind that at all. And you can see here's the Tudor rose that's been engraved or embossed into the crown, and I just love how they've designed this crown. I love how it doesn't have the crown guards, and you just really see this prominent crown just kind of sticking out on the side of the case, and it just really works. It just really gives it like that tool watch vibe and aesthetic, which really the heritage of this watch is from kind of like that tool, like no nonsense tool watch era, and I really, really appreciate that. What else can I say about this watch? And look, yeah, go ahead and flip it to the back here. As you can see, the back of the case back is very sterile. You do have some lettering around the rim of that case back, but I love how it is, fairly sterile, reminiscent of Rolex. So you could kind of, you could put someone's initials on there, or if you want to give this watch as a gift, you could inscribe a message or a word on there, and I think it'd be really fitting. It would be a really classy gift. I mean, if someone gave me this gift, oh man, like I'd be stunned, But anyways, yeah, this is a stunning watch. I'm really, really glad that I pulled the trigger and I got this watch. And it's been on my wrist for about an hour or two so far, and I've really been enjoying this watch so far. It's, like it's more to me. It's kind of transcends like the just a functional timepiece. It really is to me like a work of art that's been really just integrated with like just form, so it's like form and function just kind of just blends together to create this really usable just tool watch that looks really good on the wrist, that doesn't draw too much attention, but when I look at it, it still captures my imagination. And so it's just been a pleasure. One last thing before I forget, the bezel action on this is fantastic. As other people mentioned, this is a 60 click bezel, which I really like. I know Rolex, I believe they have a 120 click bezel. The feel feels very positive, very just, every click feels very positive. There's no like whiplash, there's no movement. It just clicks right into place. And I believe according to Tudor's booklet that I was reading, once that loom pip right here, that loom pip goes to that 12 o'clock position, it actually has like what do you call it, like extra clickiness to it, so that it doesn't like, I guess, move like accidentally. I don't know if I'm just explaining that correctly, but I guess there is more of a positive click when it goes into that 12 o'clock position. That's what I'm trying to say. Acoustically, I've heard that Rolex's click is a little bit more sharp, more crisp, but here, check this out. Yeah, feels a little bit more muted, but I like that. I feel like the acoustics of this watch really fits the overall aesthetic of this watch. And so, yeah, it's very nice. Acoustically, it's very positive. It provides like that acoustic feedback that you're clicking. And so I think that's really the purpose, is to, you have that tactility of the click as well as the acoustics of the click. And I feel like it fits really well with the overall aesthetic of this watch. So I know, with that being said, yeah, this is just like a first impressions. I'm gonna wear this and I'll give you guys a more kind of a updated kind of review. But if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. And also I'd appreciate it if you subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy this video. So with that being said, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.